Right, ladies. We are live. Yay.
Hey.
So this week we were to choose a case study, either the second grade class or the fifth grade class, as well as share several books, two books off of the UDL um, book builder. I found ones in the public library tab. Um, and I hope that counts because it's not under the the one that she said not to go under. So fingers crossed. But in terms of going over the overview for these 2 weeks, it is our understanding as a group, I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that this week we were supposed to do that, pick a case study, view some books, share two of them, and then we're making a rough draft assuming that we're supposed to use one of the standards at the bottom of the case study to
Right.
build a book, not directed at a specific student, but more towards the standard. And then we'll have a final copy that we share next week. So, Carrie, I hope you watch this and you can answer that question. We've had two people email you for clarification. So, fingers crossed that it all gets figured out in time. But does that sound good, ladies? Is that
Yes,
good?
that's my understanding too.
Yeah.
Okay. So who wants to go first in terms of sharing their books?
I can go first.
Cool.
All right. So, the first book I chose, get down to my notes here. Lily and Paxton and the Missing Flower. So this was.
I chose that one too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because I work with the kids that are older, I wanted to kind of look at some of the younger stuff because I see, I've seen 6 through 12 stuff forever, and so it's kind of fun to look at the elementary. So it was a nice, just short story. Some of the strengths that I noticed were the Terry tips that's over to the side, and it gives there's like a little short blurb on what some ideas are that you can incorporate into the story with the students, engaging them in conversation, what you can talk to them about. I thought it was what I really liked was how they had the words that were underlined, and you could click on the word and the definition would come up with a picture. So there's that association with vocabulary, building vocabulary skills, and your book of vocab. The little buddies at the bottom, and this goes for both books. I mean, both books had pretty similar features. The other book I chose was The Legend of Snake and Eagle for grades 3, 4, and 5. But in the Lily and Paxton book, there was more of a lesson being taught about taking things, and definitely geared towards the younger ages, starting them off with, we don't take people's stuff and hide it, and but let's see. Sorry, I'm reading my notes. But something that I thought, okay, so I looked at a couple of different books before I chose these two, and one that I saw was Tortoise and the Hare, and what was neat about that book, I should have picked that one, but they had a response box down at the bottom where the students could listen to the book being read to them, and then the questions, and then answer the question within the book. So I thought that was kind of a cool feature and something that maybe not for the younger grades, but for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade might be something beneficial to work on writing skills and comprehension along with the book and the moral of the story, or if it's teaching a lesson, or you're just talking about comprehension and vocab. So anyway, all right.
I can go. I picked Gus's Rainforest Adventure, and then Lily and Paxton and the Missing Flower. And for Gus's Rainforest Adventure, and Lily and Paxton, they both did the vocab thing, and I thought that was really neat because the kids, like Nicole was saying, can click on the word and then see the definition. And yeah, that's really neat because when, you're just usually reading a book and you never want to go get the dictionary and look up the word or Google it or whatever, and it's just a click of the button, then you can see. So there's no excuse for not having to go out like elsewhere and look for it. And just a good way to know the vocab words. And then I really liked the illustration. I thought that was neat. They had I don't know, drawings, and they looked like homemade, like students would help with drawings or something. I don't know. It just looked really nice. And then, yeah, that's about it. All I wrote down. And they all had like a lesson in the story that was teaching the kids, just a simple lesson. Like in the Lily and Paxton one, it was the flower, and it was actually a plastic flower, but kind of just helping a friend out, and yeah, all an underlying lesson to go with it.
I liked the last sentence in that one in the Lily Paxton. Silly, it's just a plastic flower.
Yeah, me too. I laughed. I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
I can go. So I read Tadpoles, and it's for kindergarten, first and second grade. And I liked at the beginning of the story the little penguin on the bottom asked the students to predict what they think that the story was going to be about. And so to help the students think critically about what they're going to be reading and predict, and then throughout the story see if their predictions were right. And that's like a really good strategy for any story, I think. And a lot of the times the little penguin guy asks the students to make inferences based on the pictures, so not stuff that's necessarily in the text, but that they can assume from the pictures, or putting the pictures and the text together and then making an inference from that. And I liked how it's a very basic book. Like, one part was just talking about it's like one sentence per page, and it says how that the tadpoles move using their tails, and then the little penguin guy asks the students to think about how they move, so taking the text but then like going beyond the text. And then at the end he asks like the students to summarize the whole text, and I think that like brings it all together and helps them. Like in the literacy class that I'm taking, we always talk about how sometimes kids read a whole story and then at the end they have no idea what they read. And I think that probably happens to me too. But yeah, so it's just like more practicing that. And then I also read One Day in School, and it's for preschool, pre-K. And so it's just about letters and the letter sounds. But I really like this one because the sentences weren't just random sentences like apples grow on trees, but more something that the students could relate to, like this person is eating an apple at her lunch table, or like something that every student would see during the course of a day, so it makes it more relevant to them because they can see it, and I really like that. And then the Terry's Tips on the side provided a bunch of extension activities to do with it, so playing like I Spy outside or in the playground, or playing with Play-Doh to form their letters. And he just had really great other activities outside of just this video to, bring that to real life, and I really like that. Yeah, those are my 2 stories.
So,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I forgot on my story, they had this, like, on the Gus's rainforest one, it had those air bubbles over the head of, like, the animal that was talking on the page, and it was saying whatever it was saying underneath, so you would read what it would say, and then it had the little pop-up bubble. And I thought that was really neat because they could, like, follow along and see that it was coming from in that person's perspective or their voice. So
Well, that's kind of cool. And
yeah, it was
you were
kind of
saying, oh, sorry.
No, that's it. That's all I had.
Okay. Claire reminded me, thank you, Claire, that on the Snake and the Eagle, they also had the summarizing at the end, and especially the older grades, because it's great to start that anytime, because there's definitely my daughter, for one, can read a whole book, and then I'll say, okay, what'd you read about? And she's like, I don't know, So I think those are good strategies to start, especially with those really short stories, because it helps them to build on those skills, and then as they get into high school, college, they're able to use those to help them. So
So, my 2 books, I somehow chose 2 math ones, and I I did it specifically for 4th and 5th grade because I had chosen the 5th grade and I wasn't sure if we were going to have to like integrate it later. So the 2 that I chose, one of them was called Mean, and it was talking about average, obviously, but it was 2 like little girls that were best friends that did everything together, and then one of them struggling with the math homework about mean, and her friend says she'll help her, and they walk through step by step. I didn't like this book as much as the second one I read, because I felt like it went from very simple sentences, and then in the one that does the step-by-step where she's talking through it, you have to like scroll down the page because there's a ton of text, and it's cool that it's all on one page, but that's a lot for someone to sit and read. I did like the questions. However, in this one, the questions weren't so much summarizing or inferring, but they were more like, what's the name of the 2 girls in the story? Which doesn't have anything to do with math or mean.
Yeah.
So I felt like this person needed a little bit of focus, and they needed to actually just stick to the goal. But the second one I read was called 112358, The Golden Ratio. And don't ask me why, but we watched Donald in Math Magic Land a lot, so the Golden Ratio is like in my head because it's a whole segment of that movie. But this book started out, the first 2 pages are like the lesson plan breakdown for the teacher, which was really cool because it gives you what the goal of the book is, what the standard is it's trying to meet, and all the extensions and links there. And then as you go through the book, you can click on the Terry's tips, but you can kind of know ahead of time what's coming, which I really liked. And then it also highlighted the words and had them as links where you could get the definition. So every time it talked about a ratio or a golden ratio or, a rectangle or a whatever, you could go through and do that. But it started out as a really simple description of what a ratio is, and then the rest of the book was just examples of where you can find it in nature. So like, next time you go to the beach, look at a seashell. Can you find the ratio in the spiral? Can you, find it anywhere else. Look around. So I thought that was really cool because it was relating it to what you see every day, and you can find it everywhere. Like, I had never even thought of it, but you can find it in the skin of a pineapple. If you were to connect all those diamonds all the way around, it's a spiral.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
I'm learning something from the book. But anyways, no, I thought that one was really well written, and totally, after reading that, if I had no idea what it was, I would have been the kid that was walking around going, "Mom, look, it's a spiral. Mom, look." So it's something that sticks with you because there was so many examples of leaves and spirals and everything all over the place. So I thought it made it point really well. And I noticed as well with the first one, and I don't know if the person writing it, English isn't their first language, but the sentence structure itself wasn't great. So if I was looking at it like as one of the students here with the learning disabilities, it would have been fairly easy to get off track and get stuck on what the words were saying versus what they meant. So I think that's something to keep in mind, creating your own books, not just doing the lesson, but making sure that you're really saying what you mean. Because especially for like second language learners or for special needs, a word can derail you immediately,
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really an interesting contrast between the two, because one was very clearly written, and then one was like, "May you help me with this," and it wasn't great English, and I was like, "Huh." So, anyways, that's what I saw in the books. Yay! So, are we all kind of agreed that our assignment by Sunday is to pick a standard and make a book? Like, that's the point? Right?
Yes.
And it's just a rough draft this time?
That's my understanding too, yeah.
Do we have to share it with
each
other like we did with the lessons before our hangout?
I
That's
don't
sharing
know.
it during our hangout. Because there's not really any way for you to see my book.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I tried to find it in the assignment, but I couldn't.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking back in the assignment here to see if I can find it.
Because I would assume the point of sharing them is to get feedback on them. But if you can't see it or know what we put into it, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't see it. Maybe I'm not looking in the right... Oh, next you will share out your book to your group members. So use this assignment to try new things. So it doesn't say we have to share it ahead of time, but yeah, you guys would have to know how to... I mean, obviously we'd all have to view each other's beforehand.
So maybe just after creating it, there's like that you can publicly share your book. Maybe we can just give each other the title of our book so we can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That'd be good.
There was a way she was saying to turn it in. It was like copying the link or something onto Google's Hangout or Google Drive and then turning it in on Blackboard. So maybe we could all
do that.
Yeah, just
like
send
share
each
it
other
with
the link. Oh yeah, sharing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do something like
Yeah, it
that.
says download the zip file from UDL Book Builder, upload and open the zip file to your Google Drive. So hopefully I'll be able to figure that out.
Well, if any of you figure it out before I do, please share, because that's like my
I will work
biggest
on it.
weakness is
Yeah.
uploading and downloading. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Where did it go?
Yep.
Alright.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, wait. So just sorry, one more
Yeah.
time. So the book is about one of the standards.
That is our assumption, and
Okay.
we're hoping that Carrie will shed light on that before they're due.
Okay. Because what is the case study
Yes.
about then?
So when you look at your case study, you've got 5
Yeah.
students, or 4 students, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
I assume that throughout the next few weeks, it's going to be, okay, make a lesson towards your class to accommodate all these people, or hey, how would you, accommodate this person? I think I'm assuming this all assumption.
Yeah.
But so because we weren't given any direction that way and just told to create a book, we kind of assumed that the only criterion is at the bottom of your case study. There's a list of Common Core
Standards.
standards.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm like, what's the word? There's a list of standards. So if you were to pick one of those and make a book to target one of those standards, it would be incorporating your case study.
Okay. Because,
I think.
like the third question under the considerations was how do you anticipate the core shifts in standards will align with the next 4 weeks of UDL projects? And do you think it will be difficult, easy, or unsure?
Well, I
So
read.
that doesn't.
Sorry,
Sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, it's okay.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm saying.
Well, I clicked on and was reading, so the core shifts to me. When I read the information was like, it just kind of looks like they're like revising a certain part of it, but I feel like it's already stuff that, and I could be totally wrong again, but I feel like it's kind of stuff that's already being practiced maybe at schools, and so I don't know that it will really affect, but like I said, you guys may read it and say, oh, well, this is different, or this is not something.
Is it talking about the shifts in standards in general, or is it talking about how we would shift them for our class, like in terms of accommodations versus, what's the other one? We just talked about this.
Modifications.
Yeah, accommodations, modifications, blah, blah, blah. Because, like, in the 5th grade one, there's a kid with cerebral palsy who doesn't speak at all.
Right.
Are you going to include that standard of needing to be able to, so is she talking about how we would shift those standards for our students, or is she talking about how the standards in general shift? That doesn't make sense to me. So I guess unclear, unsure.
Yeah.
Would you mind?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with unsure as well. That sounds like a good. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with
fun. Yeah, because I don't know, because see, you're seeing it a different way than I am, which is good because we're like, wait a minute, now what is the direction of for? Yeah, because see, and I took it as I read it and was like, oh well, they're just kind of like, it seems like they're revising something. I never thought, what you did, Katie, which is good because now I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. So yeah, so it's nice. I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah.
So all of us need to send an email to Carrie that says, please watch our video tonight.
Yeah. Help us.
Before the weekend's over, because we need to know the answer to this.
Yeah. I do feel a lot more clear about it, though. Like I was.
Okay, wait. Sorry.
Oh, no, please.
In the announcements, I was just looking in her announcements, it says this week you develop a rough draft of the books you will create for your case study class of students.
So I assume that's why we were assuming that you're supposed to base it on a standard at the bottom of your case study. Because it's a standard for that grade.
So would you be writing the book then toward these, like, to have some sort of...
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it's like specific for that student, so you're like trying to get, based on reading your case study, trying to cater your book towards that student so that student can understand.
Well, and I mean, if you look at the difference between the the students in the second grade or the students in the fifth grade class, both of them, you're not going to write one book that's going to hit all 4 of those students.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And that's when I also read something that she said you might have to do multiple books to
Yeah.
fit all the students. Like,
yeah.
to-
So I guess we have a lot of questions.
Yes.
So summary of questions. Number 1, what do you mean by the change in standards? Is it for our class or in general? Number 2, are we writing a book for a specific student in our class, for multiple students, different books, or are we just writing a book to target a standard from our case study? Is there anything else? I think there was another question and I can't remember right now. Oh, do we have to share out? Like literally share them with each other before we share them
Oh, yeah.
next week?
Yeah.
And I think that was it.
I think that covers it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that covers it. That sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Well, I was
Alright, well-
actually serious about us all sending her an email. If she gets an email from all of us, she might be like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to watch this now.
Clarify.
So if y'all want to send one right when we're done with this, and I'll
Yes.
include the link to the video in mine before she gets the Hangout notes on Friday or tomorrow.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Sweet. Alrighty.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, I'll talk to you ladies
Thanks,
next
guys.
week.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Night, ladies.
Night.